All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday, 2-game slates. You see Hoopster down there. Yes, his lines are on the slate. Looking smooth. Got that nice, what is that, an alternate jersey? The black
I'm wearing them
ones?
tonight. It actually worked out perfect because I just got it. And they're wearing the black and the, I think it's like the blue helmets. It looks pretty sick. So they're busting them out tonight. So it was like perfect time. I just got this jersey like last week, and I knew I was going to the game on Monday. And then I saw online that they're wearing these tonight. So it's
Let's go.
Pretty sweet, yeah.
Smooth hat, smooth jersey. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson, talk about a monster himself too. So I love the 2 games. I mean, if you want to play Showdown, we'll touch a little Showdown at the end. I know mainly my focus will be 2-gamer. I think Hoop will be the same, but Showdown's still good prize pools. All the content will be up for the featured Showdown slate. 2-game, of course, all of our content will be up, starting to trickle up as of now. You see, we're going to be going sharing Shiptimizer, projections on there, ownership on there. We're going to be walking through position by position as we did last week. Appreciate every single one hanging out with us. Like button, subscribe button right from the get-go. Helps us out a ton, but I'm going to bring in my man Hoop. Had a lot of fun on the Sunday show and want to shout out our man Ham. Jordan Addison. Ain't nobody talking about Jordan Addison except our man Ham yesterday. Absolutely nukes at very low ownership. How was your week 4? If it was not good, hey, still one more day left to make some money back.
Yeah, that's the beauty of these slates. It's if you're down, you have a chance to get even or down even more. You know, a lot of people, just talk about the Showdown stuff and these 2-game slates is a chance to get it all back. Yeah, you got the chance to get it all back, but you also have the chance to get buried a little bit more. But these 2-game slates are great. I mean, I love them for NFL. I mean, to me, so I love the format a lot better than Showdown. Obviously, very passionate about Showdown, but these 2-game slates I think are money. 3-game slates are great as well. But yeah, there's a lot of talking points for sure. Going back to the main slate yesterday and the calls and whatnot, like, our guy Ham nailed that Jordan Addison call, like right out of the gate. Like no one's talking about Addison. I imagine, I can't remember the ownership, but it had to be like probably under 1%. And he just nails it home. And I think it was one of the first touchdowns of the slate too. And then he got 2 right away. So gotta love seeing that for sure. And our guy Ham, we love him and love him coming on the show. It was a fun time yesterday. I mean, the slate overall was, somewhat interesting. I mean, a lot of people thought that it was going to be the Washington and Arizona game. And Washington said, this isn't going to be a game because we're just going to beat your ass. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, Jaden Daniels looks like the real freaking deal. I mean, he looks good and composed. The big stage is not getting to him at all. And the main talking point about Kyler Murray remains true. The guy fucking sucks as an NFL quarterback. I mean, that's just what it is. I mean, it is what it is. He's just not good. He will not be on a winning team in the NFL. Are there going to be spots where we like him for fantasy? Absolutely there's going to be, but he is a really shitty NFL quarterback. Got bailed out too, not bailed out, but I mean the pass to Marvin Harrison where they actually did score, that was on Harrison. Like that was I'm getting this ball type thing. So it was interesting NFL slate, I would say, yesterday, but we got to finish things up here. And like our guy Jerry said, he posted in there, Scarface, the week ain't over yet. And it's not over at SHIPIT Nation in terms of the content, because we'll have full offering for the 2-game slate and the Showdown slate tonight. So let's go out there and get it.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, all the content will be up rolling. Got to say hi to people in chat before we do go position by position. Sean Sullivan, Nate D, Zim, Sean Rooney, Kenny, Kim, Scooter, Beetlebane, Jordan, Mr. BBQ, G. Kiefer, Alan, Jerry, Illini fan, Bean, Colin, Jennifer, The Lab, Danny, Joanne, Ross K, Siggy, Casey, Johnny, Greg, Robert, Mark. Appreciate every single one of you. Again, all we ask, like button, subscribe button, helps us out a ton. If you want to join the best spot in the industry to be not only the cheapest and the best value, also I think the best content out there, by far the best community, especially in the Discord. No better price, no better people, no better community to hang out with. ShipItNation.com. We have weekly options, monthly, 6-month, annual, per sport, just projections, ownership, anything you want. We have an option for it. All you got to do, go to Ship It Nation right there. There'll be a Join the Nation part, and you can see all of our options right there. And again, there's no better time to join. I said it yesterday, but NFL is going on. PGA swing season. Shout out to DGen. Absolutely grinding it as hard as ever. Was a part of the chop. I saw a sick screenshot. I don't know the name. I forget in Discord. $46, single bullet. He had one in like the $15, like a single entry, this and that. Built the same team as DeGen, the Stone Nuts. He only looked at DeGen's content. It was what? I think it was like $46 into like over 11 or 12,000 bucks. Absolutely insane stuff. Just because it's not the main golf season, we're absolutely still grinding it over here. By far the best team, DGen, Hoop, and Tambo. MLB is still going on. We have a showdown game starting in 2 minutes. We'll have postseason content though. Prize pool's pretty big. MMA still going. Hoop took second again. Another day ending in Y. College football, one of the best teams out there. NASCAR is still going. Next thing you know, NBA and NHL will be there. No better time. This is always what we want as DFS, as sports fans. Fall, all the sports going on, all the money to make. No better time. Head in and definitely get in the Discord if you join. Let's talk initial thoughts on this two-gamer first before we go position by position, Hoop. And I think it's pretty clear on a lot of fronts on where ownership's going, what people are doing. We have a 47 total with the Lions and Seahawks as the second game of the night. Then we have a 37-point total with the Titans and the Dolphins. And obviously no Tua for the Dolphins. Tyler Huntley will be getting his first start. Pricing is pretty tough, but I think everybody wants to just jam the point or the over-under with 10 more points on it, obviously. It's a lot easier to play Geno and Goff than Huntley making his first start, and Will Levis has looked as bad as ever. But if you want to get different, you can play a lot more the first game than the second game. You can always leave money. What is your initial thoughts before we go position by position?
Yeah, it's a tough two-gamer, to be honest with you. I mean, even though people do want to go with that second game in Seattle and Detroit, which I think probably gets a majority of the ownership on the slate, it's like it's not slam dunk offenses. Like the Lions are fine winning like a nasty type game. Like if they can win 20-13, like we saw last week in Arizona, like they'll take that win every single week and finish out the game by pounding David Montgomery like as much as possible. The Seahawks, they still have 3 wide receivers to throw into. Kenneth Walker's back in the mix. They're only projected to score 21 and like right around 21. We have Miami right around 20. So they're not projected to score a ton of points tonight. Lions defense, I think, is really good. And that's not like a homer take by any means. Aiden Hutchinson, my boy here, is a difference maker on the defensive side of the ball. And the Lions defense is super legit. But like if you want to not get off because it's 2-game slate, you're going to play a little bit of everything. But if you want to focus more on the Tennessee, Miami side, like where the hell do you go? Like where do you go is the big question, I think, on the slate. Titans offense with Will Levis at the helm, not very impressive. You see names like Calvin Ridley and DeAndre Hopkins, guys that have been very successful in the NFL. They're not as appealing from a fantasy perspective with Will Levis throwing them the football. Miami going to Tyler Huntley. I think that's somewhat interesting. Like, does he have a chance to kind of move the ball on the ground a little bit with his feet and maybe get Tyreek Hill going a little bit? Like, no projection sites are loving Tyreek Hill tonight because of the fact that Tyler Huntley is throwing him the ball. So it's, I'd say, a pretty difficult 2-game slate to really navigate through. There's going to be some standout plays, and just off the top of my head, I think a guy like probably Amon-Ra St. Brown ends up very, very popular. He's, I'd say, by far the most, the highest floor wide receiver with probably the most upside on the slate, and it's easy to get him with the pricing today. So like a guy like him stands out as someone that's going to be very popular. It seems it's pretty wide open at the quarterback position specifically. Even the teams like the Lions have the biggest team total on the slate at 25. So everyone's okay, well, I want that quarterback. Even in a successful game script for the Lions, Goff has not shown much upside, like at all. The Lions could win this game 25-18, and Goff could have like 14 fantasy points. So it's very dynamic slate. I haven't built teams that I'll be building after this show, and then we'll get all the content up. So I haven't built. I don't know exactly what I'll end up doing at some of these positions, specifically quarterback. I mean, in these spots before, I've just gone all in. Like if there's an appealing game, one game appealing, one game not, I've gone all in on the quarterbacks in the appealing game. Then you eliminate a lot of the bullshit, a lot of the decision making taken out of the mix for you. You don't have to worry about, what happens. You just got those two quarterbacks. If that's the high scoring game, you're good. I don't know if I can do that in this game, because even in a game script where I think the Lions win and score 25 points, Goff has the potential to have a not good fantasy game, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So those are my initial thoughts. And like I said, we'll kind of break through, go through positions, talk about like ownership, talk about pivots, talk about roster construction. I think that's kind of the best format for these 2-game slates.
Yeah, a great initial breakdown. So when you were talking, I was doing I love how you have been doing the dry run recently, and I think that's a perfect 2-game slate. All I did was turn the randomness all the way down. As you guys could see there, ran 150 builds, and we're going to go quick before we go position by position. Let's just see what Shiptimizer our projections and that thing. So you want to talk through it, or do you want me to talk through it?
Yeah, either way. You can hit on it first, and I'll give.
I'll go quarterback. You go running back, and we'll just go down the list. So quarterback, we see right now, if you sort by our projected ownership, Geno is the highest owned at 35%. I do think that will be accurate because 5,900 right there. Goff is 6,400. So people will take that $500 savings with Geno. They are dogs, so probably expected to throw a little more as well. We still have him overweight, 42% in our dry run, which would be 9% leverage at this ownership. Goff, doesn't like Goff much, negative 18%. Again, no rushing upside really. He is the highest price quarterback on the slate, so that's interesting right there. I see Jordan and Nate's talking a little Tyler Huntley, how they like him, 22% projected, 34% in the initial run, and Will Levis right here, 5,200, the cheapest quarterback, coming in roughly 23%. We have at about 20%. So my initial thoughts looking at this, it doesn't like Goff at all at 6,400 is the highest price. We'll get into our thoughts at quarterback, but I'm kind of similar line. I'll tip my hand a little bit. I definitely will be playing Will Levis and playing more of that or some of that first game, because I do think the second game, especially the skill position players in the second game, are a lot higher owned than the first game, because it's a lot easier to play Amon-Ra, DK, etc., than it is guys like Waddle and stuff with Huntley. So initial run, Goff way down there. The other one's pretty close to their projected ownership. Anything at quarterback you want to talk about? Otherwise, go to running back. Who?
Yeah, just to touch on the quarterback situation quickly, based on those numbers, it is interesting where, a lot of times in these 2-game slates, whoever has the highest team total, like that's the quarterback that everyone wants to go to. Interesting dynamic where, Goff is the quarterback of the team with the highest team total. And based on this dry run and even ownership projections, he could be the lowest owned of the group. So I think that is one interesting thing that definitely stands out to me in this game, or at this position. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Let's go into running back. And Neil, I try to turn down my volume a little bit. Please let me know if that works better.
I'm going to turn mine up a little bit. See if that works, if we can balance this out a little bit.
Yeah, let me know if it sounds better. But let's go to the running back position hoop. As you can see right here, a chain, Pollard. It likes a lot. We like a lot of a chain, a lot of Pollard. Those two will be the two highest owned running backs on the slate, I do think, because a chain at 7.2K, there's no Raheem Mostert. So we didn't touch on any injury news because there isn't any injury news we're waiting on. Mostert's out, even with the backup in Huntley. So many ways to scheme the ball to a chain. Pollard, 6K, starting running back in Tennessee. But, I mean, I know I don't want 95% Tony Pollard, especially if I'm playing any amount of teams with Tajee Spears, with other guys. And outside of that, we have Montgomery, we have Gibbs. Kenneth Walker is back this week, so that's why you're not seeing Charbonnet, etc. Thoughts on this interesting running back room, and this Kenneth Walker ownership does stand out a bit, but we still do not like him very much in the initial dry run.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously you look at these 5, and they're the clear guys at the running back position. A-Chain without Mostert. There was some talk that Mostert might try to play today, and that got squashed relatively early in the day. They kind of came out and said he's not playing. So he's in line to get all the work. They're at home, favored by essentially a field goal without their starting quarterback. He could have huge workload. So that makes sense that he will be the highest owned at the position. Then you have the two running backs in Detroit. Definitely the fact that there's two of them will keep their ownership in check a little bit. So they're showing up at 35 and then 12. So, I mean, one thing we'll talk about definitely when we get to the positions and roster construction, like if you're going to take an underweight stance on Jared Goff today, I think you definitely want to take an overweight stance on David Montgomery, because that's how the Lions win this game without Goff having a good game. But he's going to be owned. It's a 2-game slate. Then Tony Pollard has looked better than he did in Dallas, and he's 6K, showing up in a ton of teams. But I think if Kenneth Walker is going to be number 5 in terms of ownership at the position, I think that's a very solid leverage point. I mean, they have this game in the Dome. Before he got hurt, he was the main guy getting all the work. He has multiple touchdown upside. They'll pass the ball to him. So I think that is definitely a big talking point if, the ownership is showing him as number 5, and then we just did this run and it's even lower than that. I think Kenneth Walker is definitely a talking point for this slate.
Yep, absolutely. And we'll get into, again, we're going to go our thoughts position by position quick. We just want to touch dry run. So we will touch on Pollard, Spears, Charbonnet. Like, obviously, Charbonnet and Tajee Spears, 2 backup running backs that will be on the field. They are definitely in play for larger field stuff, and they will be low owned. This is just randomness all the way down with projections, the top 150 teams. That is why they're not popping there. Looking at receiver quick, I'm going to sort it by leverage, actually. We got Amon-Ra, as Hoop mentioned, popping up a lot. One of the highest owned. Jameson Williams as well. Actually, can we – I can't sort by – let's go actual exposure. Late game. A value piece on a very tight with salaries very tight on this slate. He's going to be on the field, so Tyler Boyd's going to get some ownership. Then you get the Ridley, the Hopkins, the Waddles of the world. So my initial thoughts, or what stands out to me, the top 5 receivers that we have actual exposures to all come from that second game. If I was saying first game, you know what I meant. I meant the second game, the Lions, Seattle premier game, 47 total. So, but with that being said, there's a little negative leverage on DK Lockett, not much at all. Negative leverage on a lot of these other receivers in the first game. So nothing surprised me at this position. We know eating more chalk, the higher owned people will be in that Detroit-Seattle game. If you want to get different, go to the first game. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, so this is where the trouble of the slate kind of emerges. It's like, okay, we know that all the pass catchers in the Detroit-Seattle game are going to be the highest owned, right? I mean, there's no doubt about it. How do you counteract that? Do you want to take an overweight stance on Tyreek Hill with Tyler Huntley throwing him the ball? Do you want to take an overweight stance on like a DeAndre Hopkins or a Ridley or a Jalen Waddle? It's difficult to say that those guys are going to outscore Amon-Ra, DK, Lockett, JSN, Jameson Williams, who obviously has a bigger role this season. It's just hard to make that case. So I think it really comes down to roster construction more so than, trying to get it overweight on the passing game in the Tennessee-Miami game. So I don't know. That's something we can definitely talk about when we get to the positions and talk through it. But I knew you knew that this was going to happen when you just do a dry run. You're going to get all those guys. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You just look at the projections. I mean, just knowing.
I'd be worried. I'd be worried if we didn't.
Right.
Because
exactly. So we knew this was going to happen. The problem really lies in how do you counteract it? And I don't know if I necessarily have an answer to that question. I think it comes down to roster construction and then what you do at other positions, because it just seems like these are going to be the guys at the wide receiver position that get the job done.
Absolutely. No doubt about that. Just leave salary. Absolutely very viable as every slate to leave salary.
Big chunks too on the 2-game slate, like a lot of salary.
Yep, absolutely. Quick, the tight end position. Only so many guys in play. It is a very, very gross tight end spot. Noah Fant, I mean, this number probably even comes in a little higher. Like, it's not fun playing Chig, Jonnu, Wiley. Like, none of these dudes is fun to play. Tight end is absolutely gross. I do not think it's a 2 tight end build, really. I'll let you, I guess, touch on that thought. If so, you're hoping Jonnu gets you 4 points could be enough at Dybul tight end if it just gets you all the spends. But yeah, I guess tight end right here, and then I'll pull up defense quick. You can group it. I mean, we're pretty much all close to the field with defense, no leverage that way. And yeah, I mean, again, Miami in a very good spot against Will Levis, who has absolutely taken all the sacks, mistakes in the world. But yeah, that's why they're the highest owned.
Yeah. No surprise at the tight. I mean, it's a bunch of puke plays, for the most part. I mean, disgusting dudes. And that's why when we get to the position, we'll talk about something I think you can definitely do to get a little bit different. But it is interesting that, no Sam Laporta.
That is.
He was dinged up. He was dinged up going into last game and then had the ankle thing. But, Dan Campbell came out relatively early in the week, maybe not early in the week, maybe it was Friday or something, and said that he's going to play full go. And his seasons have been a disappointment. Lions offensively haven't been all that good, but at some point they're going to get it all going. And the fact that on a 2-game slate, Sam Laporta, to me, looking at this, should be like 50% owned at the position, right?
It's because how tight salary is. It really is
tight. Yeah. So that's one thing that when we get to this position, we can definitely talk about it. But like Sam Laporta versus Noah Fant, Jonnu Smith, this dude named Wiley? That's what I'm going.
That's what I'm going with it.
Yeah, Chig. Like, man, we'll talk about it when we get there. But again, not surprised though, because it wants the value at the tight end. Because, like you said, how tight it is. We don't have standout cheap guys on the slate. Like the running backs are all priced appropriately, $6K and above. Obviously, the quarterbacks are relatively cheap, but the wide receivers, like you usually can make a case for cheap wide receivers. You have one under 5K that is somewhat playable in Tyler Boyd, unless you want to play like Tim Patrick or something like that. Like it tightens up pretty quick. So that's why now that we did this run, it makes sense. Jared Goff probably going to end up being the lowest on quarterback. Sam Laporta is going to be ignored at tight end. And that's just because the nature of pricing on the slate where we just don't have cheap options. So roster construction, after seeing this, and roster construction is always important, don't get me wrong. But I think on this slate, it's even more so because the leverage points and what you need to do to get a little bit different, I don't know if they necessarily exist. So roster construction is a big part of the slate. And it always is, but I'd say more so than usual.
100%. The smaller the less amount of games, the way more important roster construction gets. So simple 1v1 pivots from Amon-Ra St. Brown to Jalen Waddle could be the difference between a 35-way chop and a solo shipper, stuff like that. So one overstacking people are talking about. We'll get in all of it. We'll talk overstack, and we're going to jump right into quarterback right now. I just wanted to pull this up quick, and y'all teach me how to play NFL DFS. It's hard. Yeah, DFS is not easy, that's for sure. But one way we do help you out right here in that more, if you go right to education, 4 hours, Hoop and Tambo talked NFL, every single thing you need, whether you're focusing on qualifiers, you're focusing on cash games, you're focused on smaller field, larger field. 4 hours, there's no better spot. Check this video out. This will help you learn NFL DFS. We also have PGA, MLB, MMA, and NBA. So wanted to shout that out. Yeah, it's hard, no doubt about that.
Another thing with that too, like don't try some of the different slates. Try the afternoon. Try the 1 p.m. only. You gotta kind of find your groove. Try different things. I always talk about PGA too. Like some people are just better at the showdown slates. So like if you're struggling in the main PGA slates, go with the showdown. Just don't even play the main. I know it's tough sometimes. You see the huge prize pools and you want to be involved, but like if you're just better at a different format, kind of stick with that. So one thing. Yeah.
There's early only. There's afternoon. Like you can still find the sweats in the early game if that's what you want and you're playing for without like going all in on the main slate, just diversifying more. So let's talk quarterback, Hoop. And I think that dry run really I hope a lot of people out and helped us out too on pricing is really tight. It is. You're not seeing Sam Laporta at that weak of a tight end position. You're not seeing that much Jared Goff because he is the highest priced quarterback. I mean, yeah, I guess I'll throw it right to you. I think all of these people are talking overstacking, et cetera. You can overstack any of these teams. If you want to go Will Levis, Tyler Boyd's already getting ownership. DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley are pivots in that Amon-Ra range, the Jameson Williams, just from the other Lockett's, et cetera. That second game is going to be way more popular. Why I do like a good amount of Levis, yes, it's absolutely been gross with him. He will drop back and throw the ball, though. It's a 1-game slate. Anything can happen. And if I'm getting DeAndre Hopkins lower owned, if I'm getting Ridley lower owned, it's clear pivots. It's a lot easier then to have a lower owned team. You can also then jam an Amon-Ra, something, etc. But I'm going to be playing a lot of Will Levis and overstacking him because I feel fine with his receiving weapons. And his tight ends are cheap, where if any tight end, or if they fall in the box at all, even 4 for 30 from Chig could be enough there. So cheapest quarterback on a really tight pricing structure. The receivers are pretty low owned, at least relative to the other options. I'm definitely playing Will Levis at 5-2. Huntley, Tyreek's going unowned. It's absolutely crazy. Some people are talking about it already. Him, you can play Waddle, you can play Jonnu, you can overstack that way. He also is a running quarterback, though, so you can play Huntley with just one of them and then get different that way. Geno and Goff, of course, Geno is going to be the highest owned. You have Lockett, you have JSN, you have Fant, you have DK. Obviously, you can overstack that. Goff as well, and I'll throw it to you on this, I guess. Start with Jared Goff. He's not showing up as much. He's still going to get some ownership. We have him at 20%, a little less than Huntley, Levis. Ownership looks pretty good to me. Start with Goff and what you're doing, and then talk about the other spots.
Yeah, so my initial thought when I woke up this morning, because I don't really think about slates until like the day of, and I was like, all right, what do we got going today? You know, what's going to happen? What do I see? What do I envision doing today? And first thing I thought about is quarterbacks, and I was like, you know what? Will Levis sucks. I don't want to play him. Huntley probably sucks too. I don't want to play him. Maybe I just X those guys out and kind of go all in on Detroit, Seattle. Then I was like, no, I can't do that, just because the main reason why I don't want to go that route is because I could see where 18 is the winner at this position.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying? I think
that's see it right here. We don't even have anyone projected over 17.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's the most important part about the quarterback position is you can truly, and everyone can, like you've seen all these dudes, like even in winning games, like I talked about, Goff getting like 14 or whatever. He had a shitty performance last week, fantasy wise. Lions won. He had 15 fantasy points last week. The Lions won. 18 could be the winner at this position. And do I think Will Levis is a good quarterback? Hell no, I don't think Will Levis is a good quarterback. He's a terrible quarterback. Yeah, man. Kyler's, he's down there low, man. He is down there he sucks. He is bad. But I think I might have to take Kyler. I might have to take Kyler over him.
Yeah.
Do I think Levis is good? No. Like I said, he's not good, but can he get 18 fantasy points? Yeah. He can get 18. He runs a little bit. Is 3-4 rushes every single game. If they get close to the goal line, he runs one in. It's probably him that you need at the position, or a decent chance of it being him that you need at the position. So I'm not excluding anyone at this position. Will I be overweight on Will Levis today? Most likely not, but I'm just not going to fully take him out of my player pool. The Goff thing is interesting though, because like I said, anytime we have these 2-game slates, the quarterback with the highest team total typically is the highest owned, and we're not seeing it with Goff. I mean, I just kind of made the case against Goff, but the case I'm going to make for him is he's the quarterback of the team with the highest team total on the slate. They're projected to score the most points, real life points on the slate, and he's probably going to be the lowest owned. So again, I made the point against Goff, the fact that they can win and he scores 14 or 15 fantasy points, but the case for him is on this 2-game slate. And again, we've seen this game go off. That's how I won $1 million. The Lions and Seattle went nuclear. Different pieces, obviously, then when it happened 2 years ago, but it's in a dome. Both offenses have big-time playmakers, DK Metcalf, Jameson Williams. There is a chance for some fireworks, and you're going to give me the quarterback, projected to score 25 points at the lowest ownership on the slate at this position. I'm definitely going to be interested in him. But yeah, it is a tough one. The main point here for me though at quarterback is I could see 18 fantasy points being the winner. So I don't know if I can exclude any of these guys, but I can take some underweight stances. And again, I'll be building teams after the show, and then I'll get my player pool and exposures updated.
Yeah. Something interesting I found. So Huntley plus 300 to score anytime touchdown, which is obviously on the ground or receiving. That means on the ground. Levis only plus 350. So that number is pretty close. And then 15.5 rushing yards is Levis's prop. 31.5 is Huntley. So that kind of adds to what you said. Levis, the dude has negative football IQ. He plays as hard as ever. He does everything he can to win, but He just plays so hard to try and win. He doesn't think of logical things and making the right plays. But I can use that in my advantage of, like, he's going to be my highest owned quarterback. People are chirping how bad he is, et cetera. I totally get it. We have 4 quarterbacks on this slate. He has a little rushing upside, but the main thing for me, again, is his targets are a lot lower owned. Like, I want to throw this to you, and Geno's my second favorite. Then it goes Huntley, Goff. It's for sure Levis and Geno. And part of that is if you're playing Goff hoop, like Amon-Ra, Jamison Williams, Sam Laporta, Gibbs, who else can you really play? Like, if people are going Goff, they're going to play a combination of them. Yeah. At least with Geno, you have JSN, you have Lockett, you have DK, and you have Fant. And then if you want to do the Charbonnet, Walker stuff, you can. But it feels like it's going to be more condensed when people do go the Goff stuff. And if you go Goff and Laporta, it then kind of brings you into similar builds because pricing. So any just thoughts on, can you play Montgomery with the Goff stuff? Any just thoughts on what I said, and is my reasoning just totally wrong?
No, I mean, well, when you go with the Goff stacks, you're clearly, I mean,
sounds like my reasoning might be wrong.
Our boy Nades is not on Will Levis today. He's made that very clear, and I'm probably closer to Nades than I am to you, but it's just a weird position, a weird slate. It goes back, I don't know, I think it was last week. I can't remember the exact players. I forget shit because apparently I'm an old man, which I learned a couple weeks ago with you.
That memory's going.
Yeah, or was that 2 weeks ago? Or it was last weekend, actually. See, I can't even remember the days. A large majority of Goff teams, I mean, very large majority of Goff teams are going to have, it's probably in the 90s. It's going to be either Amon-Ra or Jamison Williams with him. So that point, I think, is very, very valid. Like, you are getting high-owned pieces when you play Goff. That's why when we get to the tight end and talk about Laporta, I think he's going to be a key part of what I do tonight, probably for that reason. I'm not saying I'm fading. I'm going to fade like Amon-Ra and Jamison Williams and a lot of my Goff stuff. Obviously, I'm going to play Goff with him, but I want Laporta to be a big part of what I do, because I think that is one way to differentiate those stacks a little bit. And, we'll go into it more at the tight end position. But, yeah, I get what you're saying. If you play Goff and you just run an optimizer, you're going to have a shit ton of Goff to Amon-Ra, Goff to Jamison teams.
Yeah, if I play Goff, and again, I'm going to probably play all 4 of these quarterbacks. I'm playing over 20 teams. If I play Goff, I think my favorite way to do it is overstack it. Or maybe just like fade Amon-Ra. Hope it's a week 1 game where Amon-Ra was non-existent. You go JMO, you can go Laporta, you can play a Gibbs or something and tell your story that way. Fade a really popular wide receiver, but he's also the most expensive, and hope like a DK outscores him or something like that. So, yeah, always tomorrow though. Yeah, I'll be playing Will Levis, and absolutely. And all this applies to all 4 of these quarterbacks. And that is another way on short slates to get a little different. And Levis, it makes total sense. Huntley makes total sense as well. Rushing quarterback can take sacks. Again, you can do it in that later game as well with Geno and Goff. For sure with Levis and Huntley, you can play defenses against that.
Yeah.
We're going to get to the running back position quick. First of all, leverage on the stone. What that means is how often we think a player will be optimal versus their percent ownership. Just say we have their percent ownership at 20 and we think they'll be optimal 25%. You will see that 5% in green because we think it's a positive leverage. He will be on the optimal more than his projected ownership. I'm not even going to I see you laughing. Nades is too long, Nades. Keep that to a sentence. I might be able to read that, but I don't got time right now. Running back room, hoop. Let's go. Yeah, we'll sort it by projected value. Clearly, you see at ownership, we have 4 guys. Gibbs, Montgomery, Achane, Pollard as the highest owned. I do think, again, Walker, another RB1 coming back after the oblique injury. 2 running backs you can definitely play. We talked about a lot of backup running backs on last week's 2-game slate. We had Austin Eckler, who had definitely a good game. Chase Brown, 1 week late, but if he did what he did yesterday, 2 weeks ago, he probably would have been on the winner. I do think in very large field stuff, if you want to get crazy low, crazy different, Charbonnet over Kenneth Walker. Charbonnet is a better pass catcher. Maybe Lions jump out 14. Charbonnet gets more work. Maybe Kenneth Walker gets banged up again. Maybe he's just, I don't know, limited to some extent. Do I think that's the case? Probably not, but clear, really low owned play in large field stuff that will see the field. Tajee Spears also. Pollard, very popular. you can save 1,100. Like, I'm going to be doing this in a decent amount of stuff. Pollard can easily still be the old Pollard from last year. Get off slow. Tennessee planned on riding the hot hand at running back for most of the year. It hasn't necessarily worked out of that to start, but who says Tajee doesn't have a solid, doesn't get 35% of the work, catch a couple passes. Salary is really tight on this slate. 10 points from Tajee Spears is what you need. And again, I'm playing Levis. I'm totally good playing Pollard and Tajee Spears with my Levis teams for dump downs, etc. A chain. Then I'll let you start with the Montgomery Gibbs stuff, though. If you can play them together, how you like them, and then talk about the running back room.
Yeah, so I mean, if you just go in and kind of run an optimizer, you're just going to get like the top 5 guys, like you did, when you ran the dry run. You're just going to get a chain. You're going to get both Detroit running backs. You're going to get Pollard, and you're going to get Kenneth Walker at the position, and most of those other guys will just be left out of your player pool. It's Charbonnet at 6,200. Like, what would it take for him to be on the winner? That one I struggle with a little bit. I get the play. You just got to know what you're getting yourself into, because I mean,
with plus 195 to score, and I hate the touchdown props. But it's more so DraftKings telling you I don't want to take action on Charbonnet.
That's what they're saying. Yeah, that's essentially what they're saying. And Kenneth Walker, I mean, it seemed like he was probably close to come back last week. Sat him out of extra week. They're 4-0. When he's in the game, like when he's the running back, he gets like a large majority of the work. I mean, Charbonnet is priced right with all these other top running backs on the slate. So in my eyes, like, even if he does pay off that plus 190, which it's probably not, it's probably not even really plus 190. It's probably like plus 300. I mean, the touchdown props are just robbery if you're going and betting those things.
I agree. He's just a 150 play, probably. I'm like,
yeah, exactly. And still, it's like, man, it's probably just burning money, because he's not only does he have to score the touchdown, he's got to outscore all the other running backs or probably 2. He's got to outscore 2 or 3. Yeah. He's got to outscore some of those guys to be on there. The Tajee Spears stuff, I'm definitely more interested in, because, like you said, going into the season, it was supposed to be ride the hot hand type thing, and Pollard played well the first couple weeks, and then last week Pollard wasn't great. 6 carries for 14 yards. It's kind of more what we saw last season with Pollard, and that's when Spears kind of stepped up and had a little more work. Actually, not a ton more. I guess more in the passing. He had 4 targets, 4 receptions for 54 yards. So like, him getting 11 fantasy points at 4,900 could be enough as like a third running back player or something on the slate, which could be kind of gross. But I guess the main point for sure is, like, if you go in and run these teams and just blindly, you're just going to get those top 5 guys. So then the conversation kind of turns to, like, people are posting in chat, can you play Gibbs and Montgomery together? Not opposed to it. I mean, I'm really not opposed. But what I honestly would do in those teams, if I'm playing both of them together, is probably include Goff. I was going to say include Goff. Okay. You're getting everything. Like, if you're playing Montgomery and Gibbs together, the Lions are going off in your eyes. Like, you think they're scoring probably 30 points tonight. You can do it without Goff, but I kind of like it with Goff.
One of those at least one has to be a receiving touchdown, right?
That's what I
guess saying. It comes back to your point, though. 18 could be enough. So I get it.
Could be enough. Yeah. So you're saying the Lions are going off. Running back or wide receiver or quarterback position could be low scoring. If he passes one to Gibbs, Montgomery runs one in, and then maybe he passes a deep one to Jameson Williams, doesn't take up much time on the clock, and he gets 20 fantasy points, and you have that whole entire offense, and you just need him to score a lot. So if you're playing those 2 guys, I guess it's a 2-game slate. You can do crazy shit, and it could pay off. But in my eyes, if you're playing Gibbs and Montgomery together, you're already saying the Lions are scoring a shit ton of points tonight. You think they're probably scoring over 28. They're scoring at least 4 touchdowns. Maybe Montgomery gets 1, Gibbs gets 1 passing, and then Goff to whoever. So you can do it without. I guess long story short, I'm fine doing it, but just do it kind of in different ways. A-Chain, I think, is going to be the most popular, rightfully so. He has the most direct path to like a full workload, just getting everything. There's not much competition, and they're favored at home. So I think, by far he's the highest owned. I mean, the workload's so secure. They got smoked last week, so he didn't do too much, but this is a better spot for him at home against Tennessee. I don't know. It's just like, to me, this is the most boring position in terms of talking points and everything. It's like you have these top 5 guys kind of just trying to create conversations around what to do here. I mean, the top, what is it, top 6? I mean, 1, 2, 3. No, it's top 5. You got the top 5. They're the clear plays, clear best plays. And then, to make a case, it'd just be like Tajay Spears or Charbonnet, which I don't like the Charbonnet play. So I don't know. I'll just be mixing in those top 5s essentially.
Yeah, I don't love the Charbonnet play as well. It's just a way to get really different in a large field. Like, you're probably going to lose money on that team. You have a chance for all the cheese, unique first. I much prefer the Tajay Spears stuff. I'd like going, if I had to pair either of these, I think my favorite pairing at running back would be, again, this is on the same team pairing. You're really only competing with Montgomery, Gibbs, and Pollard Spears. But I think I'm on the Pollard Spears train because we talked about how bad value is on this slate. Like, Pollard goes out there and gets you 13, let's say 14, and Spears gets you 4 catches for 40 yards at 8 points. That 4,900, 8 points, and just say Montgomery gets you like 14 or something. It might be Spears and Pollard on the winner over Montgomery, even though he scored more than them both, because the 400 from Pollard goes a long enough way. And then obviously there's just not much value on the slate when we get to this where Tim Patrick gets you 0. Wow, who would have thought? Probably what he does get you. There's just not many options down there. So, and if Amon-Ra gets you 30, Tyreek gets you 30, that only makes those cheaper options more in play, even if they do get you 7, 8. So, especially because I'm playing Will Levis, I'm going to be overweight on a lot of Tennessee stuff. You can play Pollard Spears together. You can play Montgomery Gibbs together. I wouldn't play Walker and Charbonnet together because of their price tags. If I'm playing Charbonnet, I'm one-offing them. If I'm playing Walker, I'm one-offing them. A chain looks great. Not much to say. Any Jalen Wright or Jeff Wilson? I think I prefer Jalen Wright if I do. He's more explosive. He's a better pass catcher. But I don't know, man. 2-game slate. Like, is that just showdown type stuff, or is that something you can do in 150?
Yeah, I think you'd do it in 150. I mean, he's 4,200. There's not much value on the slate. You play him, you're immediately getting like a different roster construction versus the field. A-Chain obviously has the injury risk. He's gotten injured a couple times here already. So I don't hate that play. Low ohm, we're showing like 2%. But
him or Charbonnet?
Right. Yeah.
2K.
Right. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Let's get to the wide receiver position. Again, man, it is pretty concentrated. There's only 2 games. I'm sorting point per dollar. You see our top 2 point per dollar play, the Lions. Both will be very popular. Then you got Seattle. All of the ownership really going in that second game. Kind of why it takes me back to Tennessee. I like Calvin Ridley. I like D-Hop. I like Tyler Boyd. At the end of the day, Traylon Burks, if he gets you 5 DK points, that could be enough because of roster construction. I'll play a lot more Traylon Burks in Will Levis stuff. I don't love Traylon Burks much at all, though. I think focusing on Hopkins, Tyler Boyd, Calvin Ridley is enough. I'm trying to look at other ways. I guess I'm going to throw it to you on this first, the Miami stuff. I know, Tyreek, 16% owned. When is Tyreek ever 16% owned? I will admit, I still don't like Tyreek and Waddle much. Again, I like the Levis stuff. I like Geno, and then it goes Huntley Goff for me. If I am playing Tyreek and Waddle, I think I do want Huntley more times than not. Like, Huntley can get it done through his legs. If Tyreek does go out there and get over 100 yards and a touchdown, Huntley's probably smashing his over yards prop on through the air. He gets the touchdown through the air, and he has some rushing upside that way. So I think personally, I'm mainly saving Tyreek and Waddle for Huntley stuff. I don't love it as one-offs. If I want to get different, like Tennessee, the story of the slate, everyone knows where I'm going, but I have to play these top 5 guys as well. It's just how you play them. Like when you play golf, do you play can you fade Amon-Ra? Can you fade J-Mo? There is Laporta there. Are you playing any Tim Patrick, Burks? I threw a bunch over to you to start, but I want you to start with the Miami Waddle and Tyreek stuff, then take it from there.
Yeah, I think that's like the main thing that definitely stands out to me, and I hope. I just want to look at one other thing. Yeah, it's pretty consistent around the industry that Tyreek Hill is going to be less than 20% owned on a 2-game slate.
Sure.
To me, that's crazy. Like, that is crazy. Even with Huntley at quarterback, like, we've seen what this guy can do. You can get him the ball behind the line of scrimmage and he can take it to the house. Like, I think another week removed from Tua being out, they're going to have another week to work on ways to get this guy the ball. They know they need to get the ball to him. We're still talking about a close game. It's a 3-point spread. It hasn't been great without Tua. Might not be great tonight. Like, it could be another stinker for Tyreek, but guy as explosive as him, under 20%, like, man, I hope that number remains true. I hope it stays at 20 because
I think it will. I think the main reason it will is because of right here. Sorry. Amon-Ra, only 300 more. He hit 6 points pretty much projected higher for only 300 more. That's a lot.
Tight pricing slate where it is hard to get to the 79. Like, man, like, I gotta get some Tyreek. And again, my numbers will all be updated after the show when I start building teams. But if Tyreek's coming in at 16, I can tell you right now I'm going to be overweight on Tyreek Hill. Yeah, I like all the other guys. Like, I'm playing Jameson Williams every single slate moving forward, not just 2-game slates, main slates. I've been playing him as much as possible. Like, he's going to have a big role this year, and it's been proven to be true. And I want to be on him. I'm not fading him on a 2-game slate. The 56% number, if that's true, you don't have much room to get way overweight on guys like him or Amon-Ra unless you just say, screw it, I'm going all in. Again, that's why it kind of comes down to roster construction. The Seattle guys, all fine. DK, JSN, and Lockett at 5K flat. They're coming with ownership. So, other points to other guys to kind of talk about would definitely be the Tennessee stuff. Hopkins showing 23%. Boyd, I'm guessing, probably ends up being higher owned than we're showing here, just because there's just no other, besides the tight end guys. We'll talk about the tight ends in a minute. There's just no other cheap playable guys on the slate. He's coming in at 4,200 for Boyd, and steady work, 5 targets, 4 targets. People are gonna like that. So I think his ownership comes up. But again, he's probably a necessity on the slate. For someone like me that's talking about going overweight on Tyreek, like, I'm gonna have to embrace a guy like Tyler Boyd. So I think he's a fine option. Waddle at 58. I mean, yeah, sure. But again, like, for the Miami passing game, my emphasis and focus is definitely going to be more so on Tyreek than Waddle. So I probably end up maybe taking an underweight approach on Waddle. And I don't know. Yeah. Like the Tim Patrick's for 32, he's been out there quite a bit. And we don't really have anyone else at this position, but it's like, man, it's low floor. You'd have to find a touchdown. You'd have to find a fluke.
What about 4 for 40, 2 for 1 catch for 50 yards is 6 points?
I guess your roster construction is probably different because no one's playing.
Especially if you like Tyreek. Amon-Ra, and then you like a full. Like, I personally don't love it. I'm just trying to open the thought process on. 6 could be enough at a full punt if the studs go off, and the first game, Levis and Huntley stink. Geno gets you 25. Like, you'll probably need Geno at 25 then, and then from there you might need value. So I don't think I
have to see when I build. Like, if I go through and need that salary to make some stuff work, like it would not be like I'm playing 12% Tim Patrick or anything like that. It'd be just a small amount just to make everything else work. But I don't know, like, we know, Amon-Ra, the Seattle guys, Jameson, they're all going to be popular. Like, to me, the big talking point, and curious to see when I do go into build with the Tyreek stuff, because again, I think 16%, between 16 and 20 on Tyreek, even with Huntley throwing the ball, I mean, you could put you or I out there and I'd have interest.
That's fair. I'm taking a different, again, it's nothing about the Tyreek. I just think they're going to try and run the football, slow it down. And that price tag is mainly what's like, it's not a hot take. It's the chalky take, but I like JMO way more. I like JSN way more, Lockett way more. I like Ridley more than I do Waddle for similar price, D-Hop for cheaper. Like, I'm going to be underweight on the Miami stuff. There really is no way around it there, which will probably lead me to a lot of a chain since I am expecting Miami to do something. We'll get to tight end, maybe a little Jonnu, more dump offs there. But yeah, my thoughts, I'm going to be overweight on the Tennessee side. That is why I'm playing Levis and stuff, because I'm going to be jamming all this chalk. I think Amon-Ra, J-Mo, JSN, DK, Lockett, probably at least 2 of them are on the winner is how I see it. So I'm going to be eating that chalk. Then I can be playing Levis, and these Titan stuff is a way to get different. Right now, I am not messing with the Patricks, the Barrios of the world, the Raymonds, probably not even Traylon Burks either. Maybe in Will Levis stuff, but I don't love these full punts down here at all. We're going to get to the tight end position. Hold on. Let me see this one. Would you go to Ridley and flex and spend all your money, or stay with Spears and leave the 1,000 on the table? So that would dictate on what tournament are you playing, if it's that really, really large field stuff. And then it comes back to what's your goal. Like even if it is that really large field stuff, you're probably going to win all the money if Spears does do that. But would you be fine with, I don't know, if the lineup's not too chalk, you have a lower own piece, etc. Like you're not crazy all the chalk and that, you can still win. Like what was the chop last Monday? I want to say it was like 50K or something like that. It was pretty. It was a decent.
I can't remember.
Yeah. It was decent chop, like maybe 10 people, I think. I'm hoping I'm not totally wrong, but I thought it was like 50K. You would totally take that as well. So I think this is the answer. How does your other team look? What is your ultimate goal? Can you see Spears outscoring Ridley is also the first question I ask. I can't see that in scenarios. So personally, in the large field stuff, I probably would drop down. But if you're playing, if part of your team is Tim Patrick, well, then I'm leaving $0 because I'm already different in one spot enough. So that's how I'd answer that. But always first question, tell yourself, can you see X outscoring Y? If not, don't do it.
Yep, I agree.
Cool. Before we get to the tight end, over 400 watching. Appreciates every single one of you, 406 people watching live. If you're watching on playback, very much appreciate it. All we ask, like button, take 2 seconds right now. Hit that like button down below. Hit that subscribe button as well. Helps us out a ton, bringing you shows on this channel almost every single day. And I like that. You're welcome, Illini fan. The dry run really, really helps out. It showed a lot on this slate before talking through it. The main takeaway, it is very, very tight. And everybody is playing the second game. So you are welcome. Let's talk some tight ends, Hoop. And I'm just going to throw it right to you because you've been waiting and itching to get to this tight end position. I think it might have something to do with your man, Sam Laporta. Take it away.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking all this stuff about playing Tyreek and Laporta, but I gotta get in there. It sounds like I might be like 50% Tim Patrick. I gotta see. But again, like if I can get in there and make all this work, like I'm looking at these names: Noah Fant, Jonnu Smith, Chig, some Josh Wiley, and then I see Sam Laporta at the top and only 20-some% owned. Man, like I got to find a way to get overweight on Sam Laporta, I feel, tonight. And if that means I have to make sacrifices at other spots, maybe it's, running back, I don't get as much A-chain or something like that. I think I'd probably be fine with it because I just look at this and I think he has the chance to absolutely dust the field. Like it hasn't been good for Laporta this year. Don't get me wrong. Like there hasn't been a game where you've needed Laporta or anywhere close to Laporta. He's done absolutely nothing and has kind of been injured on and off, but we got the early verification from Dan Campbell that he's good to go. I expect him to be out there as much as possible, as much as they need him. And I expect the Lions passing offense, if this is a close game, to be effective. Like that's the main thing. It's all game script related with the Lions. Like if they have a lead, you know what they want to do. They want to pound it with Montgomery. But if we can get a little back and forth, like, man, Laporta, 24%, not even the highest owned tight end on the slate, all because of pricing, really. I mean, that's the main thing. It's all because of pricing. And I guess he hasn't been all that effective, but all these other dudes, like, Noah Fant, Jonnu Smith, Chig, Wiley, like this Josh Wiley is very close in ownership to Sam Laporta at the same position. And I get we play a salary cap game, but I have a feeling I'm going to be able to make this all work. And I'll play all those other guys. Don't get me wrong. And I don't really care. To me, there's no difference between like Fant, Smith, Chig, Wiley. Like to me, like, okay, there's no difference there. Like I'm fine with whatever I get on those other guys. But Sam Laporta is someone I want to make sure I get over the field on. And I'm willing to make sacrifices at other positions in order to make it happen. But I don't know. Do you feel strongly about any of these other guys? Like
Laporta and Fant.
Yeah, Fant. So you're good with like Fant too?
Laporta and Fant. Yeah. I think them compared to Jono, Chig, Wiley, and then another guy you can throw in, Vanett. It's been Chig, Wiley, and Vanett all splitting like this tight end roles in a really, really gross way. And like I can play Tajee Spears, I can play Pollard, I can play Ridley. So many of those other guys. Again, I'm not Xing him out of my pool by any means. When I play Levis, $2,500. He fits if Laporta gets, let me circle back. Laporta gets you 8 today, projected at about 8. Fant gets you 6. Wiley gets you 2.9. That could be at 2,500 because Fant's 1,000 more. Yeah. Laporta's way more. Just roster construction wise, that could get there. So again, they're going to be in my pool. But if Laporta puts up 15 plus, I really only think Fant and Laporta are by far the most likely there. Like the other guys have to fall in the box. That's the only outs there. So I want a lot of Laporta. I want a lot of Fant because they're actually involved. They're actually solid. And it's such a bad position. I'm hoping for an outlier game. But again, I'm playing a decent amount of lineups. When I play Jonnu, Wiley, Chig, I don't think I'm going to play Vanett when you're asking whoever asked that. But again, he's on the field the least out of those 3 guys, and he pretty much gets no targets. If you want to play him, though, at 1%, I'm not going to call you crazy. But my thoughts, give me points. I think Laporta and Fant by far have the best chance for them. Otherwise, full punting, Chig, Wiley, Smith, and just really hoping, and it's going to be different. But no, Fant and Laporta, please be on the winner because that is where I'm going to try and go since I see upside. Any 2 tight end builds or just thoughts on 2? Like, there's no way I don't think you're Xing 2 tight ends, but I guess thoughts on 2 tight end builds.
I think I'll probably end up with more of it than I want, to be honest with you, just because of the plays I'm going to make. And again, I haven't built the team yet, so I have no idea. But I have a feeling based on the salaries and whatnot, I probably have more of it than I want. So it's definitely something I need to look at. I don't actively want to have 2 tight end builds, but if I need some, I guess I'd be fine with it. I don't love it. If you're building one team, if you're putting something in a single entry, I certainly would not have 2 tight ends in there.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at my initial stuff. I do not have many 2 tight end builds, mainly due because I just don't love the upside, really. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's even better for like smaller field stuff when you don't need the nuts and you jam in everything else and you feel like you have a higher floor and Wiley gets you 0 and you can still ship a 200-man tournament. Whereas I'd be shocked to see a 0 on the winner in the 88,000 people contest. Yeah, so exactly. Honestly, don't love 2 tight ends. The more I think about it due to the upside at the position, but it is viable because of salary.
Yep. I agree.
Defense. I mean, we always talk. So initially what stands out to me, the pricing, 3,200, 3,100, 29, 28. We have ownership. Makes sense with the Dolphins. Will Levis literally, all he does is make mistakes. We talked about earlier. Easily you can play Dolphins D and Levis and a bunch of Titans. I will have builds like that. Levis makes 1 mistake, multiple mistakes, then maybe they're trailing and he gets there that way. 17 could be enough at the QB position. So like I love the Dolphin stuff with Levis, who I'm going to be playing a bunch of. And I think I just want to go to the Titan side on the other one and just jam defenses more in that game. Again, Lions, Seahawks, fine. But Goff doesn't make too many mistakes. They can just go and hand the ball off to Montgomery a lot if they want to do. Other side with Geno, they can hand it to Kenneth Walker. I think Huntley and Levis are a lot more prone to a lot of mistakes than I do Geno and Goff. But the field is seeing that to an extent. I mean, I think this might narrow a little bit. Maybe this is like 24, this is 26, something. But yeah, I think for the most part, Dolphins clearly the highest, Seahawks the least. I like Titans Dolphins though for sure.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. Hope that game's just nasty and ugly. I do think that it does probably go Dolphins and then Titans, then Lions, and then Seahawks, but it's not here. You're kind of just like splitting hairs. Goff usually doesn't make mistakes, but he has to start the season, and any pressure he's been crumbling. Even last week, he made a big mistake with pressure. He got bailed out because the clock had hit the 2-minute warning, but there was a pick six. Essentially, he threw it right to the dude. He took it to the house. So yeah, I mean, I'm fine getting whatever I get, to be honest with you, at the defense position. I don't want it to be a make or break position for me on this 2-game slate.
Yeah, I'm with you. We'll just go real quick. Sean asked about FanDuel. I'm just going to pull up everything for the FanDuel.
A lot of the talking points definitely apply. I mean, it's the same stuff. I will say Huntley's the cheapest at 64 at quarterback. His ownership probably goes up because of that price tag. Yep. Tony Pollard and Kenneth Walker are kind of cheaper over there, $7K, $6,600. Tyreek's, $8K is kind of a pretty big price tag for him. Probably even maybe lowers his ownership a little bit. I will say it does. I do think that's correct. I still think he's going to be low owned, but at least you have an $800 discount. Yeah.
From Amon-Ra, and DK is priced higher actually on FanDuel.
Yeah.
Than Tyreek, but I still do think probably DK and Amon-Ra come in higher owned because it's just a way better spot.
Yeah, basically the same talking points over on FanDuel.
Yep, I think so as well. It's going to be everyone's jamming that second game. Salary's pretty tight. You play the Levis of the world stuff in the first game. You can get different there. Now let's touch again really quickly on the showdown. There's 2 showdown games. The featured one, thankfully, is the lot better of the 2, Seattle and Detroit here. My initial thoughts is, hold on. What am I doing?
It's not pulling up.
No. Let's try to refresh. Otherwise, we will
kind of just we can talk through it.
Yep. Yeah, we'll talk through it. I just want to try one more time. All right, there we go.
There we go. Cool.
Yep, cool. So, do you want me to run a dry run? Do you want to talk captains? My initial thoughts is it's tight again. It's tight on the showdown. I think mid-tier captains are a lot more in play if you want to avoid those bums, but take it away how you want to.
Yeah, the one thing, so I kind of went through, and again, we haven't dug super deep into this showdown slate yet. All our content will kind of go up, but there's no super cheap plays that are all that viable. Nothing. You start looking down, and they got Chenault at $800. He's projected to not score many fantasy points tonight. There's just nothing in terms of cheapies. Tim Patrick, $1,600. So yeah, I agree with you. It's gonna be tight. Who are some captains that I'm interested in? Definitely Amon-Ra. His style of play fits DK scoring perfectly. I think Gibbs is in play. DK. Don't have a ton of interest in Goff. Maybe a little in Geno Smith, Jameson Williams, Sam Laporta. A couple guys that I'm looking at. Definitely the Laporta stuff. I'm gonna kind of. I'm going to continue to prioritize Laporta in what I do. He's going to break out. He's one of the best tight ends in football last year, has not worked out through 3 weeks. I'm just going to continue to give him a chance. So I'm probably more Lions side for showdown. Amon-Ra, Gibbs, Laporta, Jameson Williams, the captains I'm interested in for Seattle would be DK, maybe Geno. Kenneth Walker, I think, has a fair price. If Kenneth Walker is getting full workload, he's definitely someone that can pay it off. Touchdowns, catching passes. So those are a few names that kind of stand out. But yeah, the definite talking point for sure is there's just not many cheap options. There's just no super punts that we feel comfortable with.
Yeah, we touched on this. Noah fan slightly, but we went through position by position. Jose. My thoughts is I think 3-3 is going to be popular. I think 4-2 Lions will be. So naturally, if you want to get different, 5-1s on either side. 4-2 Seahawks, I think, will be pretty different. Again, the value is really tough. If we sort, right now I have it sorted by projected points. Right here, under 3K. So we have the defense, 4K and 3.6. Tim Patrick at 1,600, projected for 3.61. Otherwise, Farrell, Brown, Raymond, Wright, all these dudes, a little less than 2. So what that tells me, value's tough. And what that tells me when value's tough is it's harder to pay up for your captain or your captains on DraftKings to pay 1.5%. So I think I'm going to look more in this mid-tier range. Montgomery at 8.6. Lions get out 14. He falls in the box twice. You play Gibbs in the flex. You get way different. J-Mo is just staring me in the face. No one's surprised if he's the highest scorer on the slate in the 2-game slate, etc. Just a complete monster. Can leave loads of salary with him. Love him at captain. Kenneth Walker. Maybe people aren't going to embrace the unknown. Is he not 100%? What's his workload going to look like? They're underdogs, which doesn't fit him perfectly. You get an ownership discount. You can see right in the flex, a lot lower owned at the captain spot. And again, almost $3,000 off of guys, someone like Amon-Ra, 2.2K off of DK. And I guess I'll talk right there. Overspending at DK and the captain, you can see price really close to Amon-Ra, priced above both defenses. That's a way to get different right there. Plug him in the captain, even in the flex as well. Overspend for a guy with all that upside. The more I'm looking at it, I don't even love the quarterbacks either. I think they get ownership because of their price tag and what it make it work. I think give me these running backs, receivers, tight ends, the Noah Fants of the world. I'm good at playing him at captain because 13 points at captain might be enough, and it gets you Amon-Ra other stuff and avoids the Tim Patricks of the world. So Lockett, JSN, all of these mid-tier guys I will be a lot higher on than I will on the Genos, the Goffs, probably the Gibbs. And when I'm overspending, I think DK is the one staring me in the face the most. As you look at ownership, he has to by far be the lowest owned. As you see captain ownership, I have sorted right here. So yeah, I like this mid-tier stuff. Skill position is, I think, how I'm attacking the second showdown slate. And I think I'm going to try to avoid like the Tim Patricks of the world, the Brock Wrights of the world, just those full punts, because I think I prefer taking shots in the mid-tier. Any final thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of tough without many, cheap guys there, to be honest with you, and you kind of got to open it up. But I'm with you. Like, I'm going to stick to the position players, like the wide receivers, the running backs. The more I think about it, I can make the case for Geno Smith, but I don't know if I really want to do it. Like, I just feel like someone's going to outscore him. And if you're playing like a quarterback in the captain, you want extreme rushing upside, or a guy that's like going to kind of spread it out. He'll run a little bit, and he typically doesn't spread it out. I mean, it's like DK has a huge game or something like that. So kind of with you. And I do want to avoid, like, I just can't imagine a scenario where Tim Patrick is on the winner tonight. So like, I don't want to be overweight on Tim Patrick. He's coming in at like 12% ownership because there's no other cheap plays like on this slate that are viable. So yeah, I think we're kind of in lockstep. And again, a lot of the stuff we talked about going through the two game slate can definitely be applied to this showdown slate as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And yes, right is okay as a dart, the Patricks of the world. Like, there hasn't been many showdown slates where I think it applies what I'm going to say right now, but one catch from Tim Patrick or Brock Wright or something could be enough, just because if DK absolutely nukes, if Amon-Ra absolutely nukes, the quarterbacks then probably follow, and you just get all stars, a complete scrub, and then maybe one guy in the mid-tier where that one is enough. We've seen it in the past on showdown slates. Haven't really seen it this year, but I don't think pricing's really been as tight as it has for this game as well most of the year in showdown as well. So I'm not excluding the punts. People will play Tim Patrick because it allows you to get all the other stuff. And when people are doing that is when I don't want to do that as much. Hoopster, that was fun, man. Talking the 2-game slate, the showdown, and you will be at the game, Ford Field later, rocking the Lions gear again. A year ago, was it week 4? It was everything. Seahawks line?
Yeah.
2 years
ago. Yeah.
2 years.
Yeah, it was week 4 as well. So big things coming tonight.
Yep. 2 years ago, the Millie Maker in this exact game, overstacking it. But have fun out there. Enjoy it for sure. Final thoughts on the slate? Anything you want to let the people know?
Yeah, looking forward to this one, obviously, and going to the game tonight. So excited about that. But make sure to get on over SHIPITNation.com. All our content will start to drop. I'm going in, building my teams as soon as we get off this show. All content will be reflected on my plays, the player pool, the exposures, all be updated. We'll get our core plays up there. Projections are already loaded. Tons of stuff for you guys to have success at DFS. So make sure to get on over to SHIPITNation.com. We appreciate the YouTube community. It really means a lot to us. I mean, we log in, start these shows, and we already got 20 people in there chatting it up. And again, we really, really appreciate that. It helps. It makes us feel good too. You come in and you got everyone already in there chatting it up. So again, appreciate everyone that tunes into these shows, like always.
So many nice words out there. Yes, butthole, you can play both of those two together. This comment, very nice. Respect the hell of you guys. You guys talk in a rational matter. No sit here ripping sports cards, whatever it is. No, you guys are not here to listen to Hoop and I talk 3 hours about our lives. like to have fun, mix jokes here and there, but it's all business. It's all about the slate. Appreciate every single one of you out there. All we ask again, like button, subscribe button, helps us out a ton. And if you do want to join the nation, all you got to do, SHIPIT right here.com, join the nation and all of our options, all access, monthly, 6-month, annual, weekly, all the sports. With Shiptimizer, you can see the edition right there, only $10 more a week. Showed that off. If you just want football, we have football only with an optimizer, PGA, etc. If you just want data, projections, ownership, you also have that. Awesome stuff. Nades, hey, Reek Day, don't like Levis. You might have to unregister for the slate, Big Nades. Nice call on Derrick Henry. Unregister on Monday. Go out, enjoy some golf. Take away those entries. Good stuff, everybody. Enjoy the game hoop. Always fun talking sports with you. Good luck. Let's see some SHIPIT Nation logos up top for Hoop. I'm Titled Town. Peace. Be safe.